Hello everybody, всем привет. Today we've recently added the ability to conquer a neutral town, and we need to add the ability to build a castle in that town. So I'm gonna just arm up here quickly. Let's see, just get rid of these guys. And we'll split a couple troops. And we're gonna go to war with the Griffins. I'm still working on things with the double wide creature sprites, and there's so many little bugs to fix with the battle. It's functional but very broken. Okay. So we're getting an initial castle built here. This is actually after the results of my my prompt. So let's start again with the prompt here. So this is. I wonder if I can turn this off. Can I mute this? All right, maybe that's muted now. So I think it is. You might still be able to hear it from my headphones, but it's much lighter. Anyway, I start out with this. I'm rebuilding the game engine. I'm trying to build this castle build screen because that wasn't working before. When you would click on the tent, it wouldn't work. I give it the sprites in building ICN for building these castles. Let me pull that up. I'm actually just going to test this. I'm going to turn the music back on. Okay, so it did build the castle, and we were able to click on things, but when you build the castle, you are not supposed to be able to build another creature or another structure. I do like that it played the castle sound. That's good. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me pull up the, let's see, I think it's build. It's not building. Here we are. So we're looking, so this is like the bottom box that describes the structure, and then above it we have a box with a slight gold border that shows that, well, this is the sorceress's castle. What we just saw was this knight's castle. There's also the warlock's castle and the barbarian castle. So these are the four castles that you'll see. And anyway, I want to have the click box for the tent bring up a dialog box using dialog utils. And the castle costs 5,000 gold, 20 wood, 20 ore. Build improvement is the title. Then it shows the castle box from buy build, and it prints the word castle in the bottom, and it uses these four sprites for the knight castle, the sorceress castle, the barbarian castle, and the warlock castle. So it uses those various sprites. I give it just the dimensions just because sometimes that helps it lay things out better. The castle improves town defense and income is the text, and then it displays the resources you need. There's a cancel button, and I explain what OK does, that OK deducts the gold and wood and ore from the kingdom treasury, plays the build sound when building the castle. The castle acts as the new hitbox for building new structures. When the tent is built, when the tent is only built, no castle, the castle hitbox should not work. Hero does not have enough of any one of wood, gold, or ore to build the castle, then the OK button is disabled and appears as the darker depressed version. And then this is just one of my earlier CSV files. I guess this is tab separated, but I provide just a form for the AI to read or add it to an existing data structure that it has in the code. And then I give it the specific tent hitboxes, which I had computed earlier when I was doing all the building stuff and doing all the hitboxes for the castle and the individual structures for recruiting creatures. So please make these changes to the castle screen and add the build castle dialog box when a user clicks on the tent. So goes through all this, and I think that was, we just saw that build a moment ago. We saw what the bugs were with it. That the locator, actually we didn't, I don't think we did observe those bugs correctly. What bugs did I notice? And we'll double check and see if we get those. When the castle's built, two more things need to happen. The external world map needs to be updated to draw a castle of the same faction type instead of a town. And the castle counts as a building structure, or as building a structure for the day. So the variable needs to be set for having built that day. So no new structures can be built the same day the castle was built. And new day CPP should clear when the new day happens. So I think the bug that I didn't observe was, or I mean, I'm sure it was there, but I didn't show you on the screen just a moment ago, was when you left, after you built the castle and then you left and went back to the world map, it was still showing a town. So that was the issue. The locator had updated automatically, but the castle didn't. So why don't I actually just run through it again quick, and we'll... Okay, so we have conquered this castle, we've built it, and this is now a castle in the locator. This is still a town. That's what I was talking about. So anyway, I submitted the prompt here. It gave me some updates to map cpp map.h. So the build today did work with the next build, but the map castle didn't re-render. Maybe something needs to change in render map, so I give it render map. And so basically what's happening is if I go to town 32, so we have the different town sprites, and these just need to be shifted to render the new, like the castle that was built over top. And so that's definitely like a map.h, or it could be in render map.h. But let's have a look. Castle build debugged. Let's see how this works. Okay, so this is now the day the castle was built. That's no longer an issue, and now it is building us our castle, so we're good. So that's cool. So this did get fixed, and let's make a note about rendering on the castle tile change. That worked. So I'm pretty happy with that. But the next thing I want to work on is this issue that I have with heroes rendering above. Like this is not supposed to happen. So let me pull up a build version where this is the issue. See, my sorceress is being rendered on top of the forest. She's not. That's not supposed to be the case. You can kind of like, here's another great example. If we go down here to the windmill, hero renders on top of the windmill. That's not right either. Right, so renders on top of the sawmill. Also not correct. So that's the issue that I want to fix. So I drop in a whole bunch of stuff, including routes, hero animation, render map. Hero with the blue flag is correctly obscured by the forest, rendered behind the forest, and the hero with the red flag is incorrectly rendered on top of the forest. I think the basic logic is something with like route and render map. That if there's a sprite on the tile below, so if there's something below here, then the hero should basically render behind whatever that is. You know, that sort of universally applies to whether it's a town, whether it's a sawmill, lighthouse, windmill, or just these forests and mountains. So I give it the example of these tree 32 L1 types. Basically just describing, again, these forest tiles. And then contiguous tiles should have the same behavior. If there's no tile below it, the hero can walk through that tile and be rendered on top. If there's a tile below it but not above it, the hero can walk through that tile and be rendered behind it, like the windmill or the rear of the castle. If an L1 tile has L1 object tiles above and below it, then it is impassable, it's not routable, and the hero should never be rendered there. Can you take a stab at fixing this, rendering, routing that I can test? Thank you. So it gives me some options. Still happening. So I'm like, well, maybe it's tall objects. Maybe it needs to be -2. You can see in the image the hero is still being rendered on top of the forest in this case. Hero is not able to route behind the castle towers, which are open tiles above the tall tiles. So the hero should be able to go there. Maybe that's a different way to consider it. The tall tiles of an L1 sprite should render on top of a hero if there is open space above them, which implies the open space is behind the tall object. The spaces behind the tall objects, the sawmill and the castle, should be routable and passable, but are being marked as not passable by this. So let's just have a look at, well, I don't think this is the right fixed bug yet. So came up with a draft, and no, it's still not working. The routing is still going through some trees. Try this logic because you're just wasting tokens now. I love to tell the AI it's wasting tokens. It always, well, okay, not always. It seems to make it work better. Like it's almost like it's tuned to not waste tokens. And that's probably just my imagination. There's probably no advantage to saying something or to telling the AI something like that. But But I'm trying to give it this like row plus 1, same column is also tall, render the hero before the tall L1, and then the L1 tile on row 1. I think that would fix it. See if that makes sense to you, etc. And then I give it another map image. The routing seems better, but this logic is still drawing the hero on top. Can you check if your logic is correct, but the rendering order is wrong? So I just keep burning tokens here, trying to get that to work. But then I think we get a version that starts to work here. So let's have a look at what we're dealing with here. Nope, that one's not working. So let's see if we get the, let's see what this is. Okay, now it's working, but there's an initial blip where it renders behind. Okay, so there's this blip where it renders behind. So let's see about that. There's still a blip with the animation where the hero is drawn over the animation. Can you take a look at that? And I think it determines that this is the first half of the animation is still at the source, but the sprite visibly drifted into the forest tile was rendering on top. So the hero is injected early and drawn behind if the source or the destination requires behind rendering. So there was no change to the render map files. It says it changed the render map files, but it didn't. But now it's rendering hero behind mines, and treasure chests are not able to be picked up because they are level 1 objects. Well, let's have a look at that, what that build was. I have that build saved as broke treasure chests. So let's see what happened there. Okay, well, maybe it did. So it's still, something's a little funny there. Yeah, see, we're rendering behind mines, behind mine carts. That's the weird thing. Okay. So I wanted that to be fixed. So it basically filters it to just be mountain, tree, and town. And maybe other object 32 variants, resource mines, etc. are not to be treated that way. So let's see what we have here. This is our final build. Let's see how that's looking. Looks better. Okay, that's rendering correctly on top of the mine. It's rendering behind the mountain. That looks good. Can we get behind the... Okay, it's still on top of... That's... Okay, it's almost. Let's go check the sawmill quick. Man, I'm a little bummed that it didn't work on the... it's not working on the sawmills or these, but those are the resource 32, so it should work on the resource 32 structures, not the sawmill. So I'm gonna have to specify which which subgroups in the resource 32. I'm at the end of this one. This is my latest build, so I'm gonna probably just have to sit down and edit this so that it does work with sawmills and the alchemist labs, because those are. Well, I'll have to think about how to specify this. It's a minor fix, but it does need to be fixed. So we're pretty close, but that's all for now. So I started looking into this bug where I was running into the hero being drawn on top of the roof of the alchemist lab, the roof of the sawmill, over the windmill, I guess fins, whatever, the blades of the windmill, things like that. So I was running into this issue here, basically, and I started digging into it, and I could show you most of what I went through, but probably the most relevant prompt that I put in was where I started describing the upper parts of the sawmills, alchemy labs, different things like that. Here, basically I said specifically the resource 32 frames. I said like 5 and 6, this is the sawmill. 9 and 10 is part of the mine, 15, 16 part of the mine, 19, 20, that's part of the mine. 25, 26 are the alchemist lab roof. And then all of these pieces of the dragon city, and then 77, which is the top of the lighthouse. So I basically suggested those were tall frames, and there was some issue there. But basically the feet of the hero kind of leak into the frame below. So this is actually the frame where the hero sprite is located, and the hero sprite is considered a tall sprite. And so the logic is actually something along the lines of this, like the game thinks that the hero is on this sprite logically, and then processes as if it was on the sprite above it. And so there's something going on like that in this situation. And I ran through a whole bunch of back and forth. I gave it a copy of the images to look at, did a whole bunch of logic, and had to roll it back a couple times. And what we ended up with here was so our hero can go behind the structure now. Let's say we go up here. We go behind if... Well, sometimes we're not even actually allowed to pass on to the tile in some senses. It changed a few things here. If we go... Well, we can't really show it there. What I want to show is the current bug, which is we're standing in front of the mine here. We end up behind this, behind the minecart in this configuration where there's a mountain next to it. I don't know why this is happening in particular, because this one is fine. That minecart is fine. And we get kind of the opposite effect if we end up on this other side here. So again, we're stuck behind this somehow. Even though we can go one down, technically it is open down. This is viewed as like a tall frame. So something in my logic is making this think it's a tall frame and we need to be behind it. So there is a logic bug where we've improved somewhat. And then there's also this situation where when you're moving off of one of these, sometimes that shows up on your hero. This, like this rock, for some reason here, it thinks we're in a tall frame again. Because of this is actually an object 32, like, ground tile random art piece. I bet this one we will disappear on. Yep. And here not. So something here with being next to a tile or having a mountain tile that's tall be below us, that's causing this to disappear. So I think it's an improvement. Here, let's see if we can get back to the sawmill quick and just test that quickly. So the sawmill's working correctly. But yeah, we still have this bug with these object 32s being considered tall. I think this is an improvement, but I'm still, you know, there's still some work to be done. I was hoping I could get it all right in this session, but I don't think I can. I think I'm gonna have to spend some more time on it. And again, my logic here is that if there's like multiple tall objects in a row, it starts to it will put your hero behind that. So here there's like trees which are considered tall, trees which are considered tall, you're behind that. The alchemist lab is considered tall, and so your hero gets drawn behind that. So there's still an outstanding bug, and it's a little frustrating, but I will figure it out. It's close, and you know, I did have a very long session with the AI here trying to work on this, and it you know, once you get into these long sessions, the AI just gets kind of dumber and dumber. So there's just it's just the intelligence is spread across too big of a context. So you have to kind of start over. So I'll save this, clip out a few interesting bits of context where it was like pretty close, and then I'll just start over and try and get another pass at fixing that logic.